Twitter is the gift that keeps on giving. Yet again, yesterday there was a ton of new rosters announced for the 2021 Challengers season, and in today's video I'm going to be running you through all of those rosters as well as how they stack up against yesterday's announced rosters. And of course we're going to be talking about the bomb announcement from the New York Subliners. Let me tell you guys a little bit of a story. Yesterday I spent all day recording, editing, rendering, and then uploading a YouTube video about the 3 roster updates that we had in that week. Then, of course, as soon as I uploaded the video, some more announcements came out, which is not a surprise at all. That would just happen, but it does mean for you folks at home that I get to give you guys another video on roster announcement, and so let's get into it. Alright, so this is the first tweet to take a look at. Of course, it's the announcement from Harry, just basically saying that he, Connor, Callum and Hixie are going to be looking for an organisation to represent in challenges for the Cold War season. So that is the roster: Harry, Connor, Callum and Hixie. Pretty good, interesting mix of players. Of course, you might remember that Harry and Connor actually have experience with Callum and Hixie, who basically stayed together for the entirety of the Modern Warfare season. Of course, Harry was with Callum and Hixie on the elitist roster that were pushing for a top 3 back in February, January, where they were doing extremely well, both at London and at Paris. And then, of course, you take a look at Connor, who actually is, technically speaking, just continuing his teaming with Callum and Hixie, of course, on that Hyperbeam roster that got top 6 at Champs. This is a pretty good roster to me. You know, I'll say it straight. I'm really liking the talent on this team. Harry, he's proven himself on War and, of course, before that on Elitist as one of the top talents, rising stars, I think you could say, from this season of Modern Warfare. He joins Callum and Hixie, who I think were both super talented players, underrated, I think, as well, for their efforts on Elitist. And then, of course, BB Connor, who we saw in Afro's BBC, that lovely team that BB Connor is a super talented guy. And, of course, I think Harry and Connor have teamed before in the past as well. So this is just a mix of players that they have experience together. They're going to be pretty good in this Cold War season. I see them, you know, topping out at top 3, maybe on a couple of placements here and there. But given the extra talent now coming down from the Pro League to Challengers, returning players such as Josh, it'll be interesting to see where these guys land in that mix of teams. So here we have the second tweet then. This one is from Qwiker, and this is, of course, our second roster. It's Qwiker announcing that himself, Byron, Linny, Keza KB, and Mooseman95 will be competing in the upcoming Challenger season. If any orgs are interested in being represented, please DM any of them or email qwiker@gmail.com. Now, this is a pretty interesting team. Again, you know, it's a mixed bag, I will say. And I think, you know, even a player like Qwiker will admit that his season wasn't that great in Modern Warfare. I think he topped out with Electro like top 6 at London. I think it was top 6. And beyond that, his season just wasn't that great. This is a different roster. I think it's the breath of fresh air he certainly needs, and it's all players that he has teamed with in the past. You know, Byron, Linny, and Keza. Both Linny and Keza, both of those players have teamed with Qwiker in the Black Ops 4 season on a variety of different rosters, whether it be Legion or Singularity. And then you've got this extra piece of the puzzle, Moose, who had a terrible season as well there. I mean, it's as simple as that, right? I mean, he started so well on Team War, got dropped just simply because of role complications. I mean, that was out of his hands, I think. And he kind of really struggled to recover until the end of the season, which is the best time to peak, because Champs is where the money at. And Moose then teamed with Keza, and then actually they got something like I think it was a top 4 in a surprising run with the Team Moon, which is such a funny team name. And to be honest, this roster is just filled to the brim with talent, and everybody knows just how good Linny actually is. I mean, of course, you know, you cast your mind back to Champs with Sicario. Tommy knew how good Linny was. Linny clutched up, I think it was like a 1 versus 3 that was insane with a pistol. This roster is going to be very, very good. Whether or not I see them going any higher than top 6 it's going to be difficult, I think. You've got the leadership, you've got Qwiker and Moose, you've also got that young talent in Linny and Keza. We will see how it goes. I do have some faith in this roster. I think they're definitely competitors for top 4, but given just how competitive this season is going to be, with every team losing a player and, of course, therefore the talent just spreading out a little bit more, I think top 6 is a realistic expectation for a roster such as this. But it is a very talented one, and they could well exceed my expectations. And so let's finally talk about Niall then. He tweeted out yesterday that himself, Brain, Disarray and Endura are looking for an organisation to represent in the upcoming Cold War Challengers season. And of course, the regular, he's got his Twitter DMs open for any orgs that wish to contact him. This is a pretty good team, right? I mean, Niall and Brain, unsurprisingly, teaming for the third successive season in a row. Of course, you'll remember they had a pretty solid Modern Warfare season under Obtained. Very good team there, although I would say I think they got third once, and I think beyond that they were sort of moving around the top 6 to top 8 area. And of course before that, Vodafone Giants, where they had an extremely successful run in the last Treyarch game, so who knows, it might be the same sort of situation here. And of course Niall and Brain are joined by Disarray and Endura. One thing I would say about this roster, Disarray is such an underrated player. Like, you know, he doesn't get anywhere near enough credit for just how much he puts into a team. You know, he consistently got top 6 in the Modern Warfare season, whether it was on the Hyperbeam roster that he ended out on at Champs, or the previous Afro's BBC roster that he was playing with, that got, I think, first in one tournament. They were pretty consistently a top 4 roster at one point in time. And of course, this roster is filled out with Endura, who is also an extremely underrated player and can play very well in the right circumstances. And hey, this might be the team in which he does exactly that. Now, as for the team generally, I will admit, I kind of think these guys, they might top out at top 8 again, you know, just a sort of asterisk on all of this, which is that, you know, going from 5 versus 5 to 4v4, the talent is going to be spread a lot thinner. There are going to be players coming down from either coaching spots or player spots in the franchise league that will be moving down to challengers as a result of that. And as such, a team that I would have maybe considered a top 6 or a top 4 roster in the past is probably going to end up topping out at top 12 and top 8. And in my opinion, this could just be one of those rosters, right? I mean, we will see how it goes. But at this point in my mind, this is a dark horse team that will likely cause a couple of upsets here and there early on in the season. So here is what we know then. These are the 6 rosters. I know one of them looks like it's completely empty. That's because it technically is. These are the 6 rosters that we are aware of at the moment. So tagging on to yesterday's announcements of Josh's new team and Defrag's new team, and of course the fact that Bids is still staying with Team Singularity, we have these 3 new rosters. And now the question is really, how do they stack up against the rosters we saw yesterday? And if I'm honest, I think the rosters that we kind of, you know, had announced yesterday were much... I think they're going to be top of the pile, as it were, in terms of rosters, regardless of what roster Singularity are going to bring out. I still think that Detain and Maple are going to stay with Bids on Team Singularity. Got a suspect feeling that Denza is probably going to be joining that roster as well. And it's going to be a very good team. And alongside the rosters that Josh and Defrag announced yesterday, I think we kind of might already have our top, at least 3 of the rosters in the top 4. We shall see though, you know, as I said today, any of these 3 rosters that are announced today, they could easily come out and upset. And I would say I'm extremely excited to see Harry, Connor, Callum and Hixie perform together as well. And today we finish on the positive news that HyDra has joined the New York Subliners. Yes, it's been rumoured for a very, very long time, but HyDra making its way to a franchise league team in the form of the Subliners is not surprising in the slightest. Now, you may remember a few months back that HyDra was actually set to join the Paris Legion. Well, turns out that didn't go very well. You know, for a variety of reasons, HyDra has ended up on the New York Subliners, and this is very good news. You know, he is the first player from European Challengers that's joining a franchise league team this season. He won't be the last, of course. We are well aware of the fact that the Toronto Ultra are picking up Insight as their substitute for this year. And HyDra is a very talented player, right? You can't understate this. Everybody in the amateur scene knows it. And the amount of tweets that went out after this announcement, just basically saying, how on earth could the Paris Legion let HyDra go? It was overwhelming. And HyDra joining Subliners, he is going to be a significant boost to this team. And not only that as well, but under the leadership of Qwiker, we've seen exactly what Qwiker can do time and time again, right? You cast your mind back to Simp in the 2019 season. This season we had Shotzi. Qwiker is just a monster at this exact kind of thing, and so kind of seeing HyDra join the Subliners. Not only is he extraordinarily talented as it is, but he is just going to get better. And honestly, you know, seeing HyDra join, it makes me very happy, a franchise league team. And hey, maybe there's precedent for more players from European challenges to make their way up to a franchise league team. But so congratulations to HyDra, and I'm very excited to see what he can do in the coming years. Well, that's going to do it for today's video, guys. Thank you to everyone for watching. Again, if you like what you saw, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel for all things Call of Duty challenges. And of course, make sure you use the comment section to tell me what you thought about my opinions on the teams that have come out today. And of course, HyDra joining the New York Subliners. I will be having a video in the next couple of days about my thoughts on the Black Ops Cold War beta. Although a little hint, I am enjoying it. As I said though, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you everybody for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.